Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're going to do a review of the importance of marketing and presentation. I think far too many people focus way too much on the product, if it's the best product. And I do think that having a good product is important, but really what's far more important than the product is the marketing and the promotion and the presentation. Now, I'm going to kind of emphasize this over and over and over again. At a bare minimum, your product should just work, right? Your product shouldn't explode when someone opens it, when it opens up the box to it. And ideally, best scenario is that you have the best product and the best marketing. But if you don't have the best product, at least have the best marketing and then have a mediocre product. You definitely don't want the best product and mediocre marketing. And I think what happens is a lot of people, because we're brainwashed, this is myself included from a young age, to believe that our value that comes from how skilled, talented we are, that we have to be the best at what we do in order for us people to accept us and get paid. And people say, hey, you have to go to this college or you have to get this degree, you have to have this amount of years of experience. We don't understand the promotion part. And really what matters is, even in employment situations, the person who promotes itself the most will probably get paid the most rather than the most highly skilled person. Same thing with products. The best product isn't necessarily going to get the most sales. It's about the most, the best promoted and well presented product. Now, here's the thing. Here's what's crazy. If you have a presentation, or if you're able to present a product well, you can convince consumers to do what's not good, what's bad for their self-interest. Like, you could make them do things that don't make sense for their self-interest or go against their self-interest, right? So the foremost example of this, the only, and I became obsessed with this for quite a while, but the most prominent example of this is just 30-year mortgage. And you're gonna hear me talk about this over and over again in many videos. But the 30-year mortgage, right? So let's say you got a 30-year mortgage at 6%, and that's for a 300K house, and then the monthly payment is, I think, at that rate would be 1,800 a month. Now, 1,800 is kind of high, right? But if you compare it to, let's say, like apartment in Metro Atlanta, that's probably the cost, especially in like the city of Atlanta. That's probably the cost of like a one bed or two bed apartment. And so, people look at that. I was like, well, yeah, but that's pretty good. I mean, because what are we trying to do? We're trying to think of the monthly payment. So this is where the presentation matters, right? So I'm gonna go with two scenarios. So this is how you're presented with this product, that it's a low monthly payment, right? Monthly payment. And so you think, hey, because of this low monthly payment, then I can do this, right? And this is good for me, and I'm going to be presented with the benefits of home ownership. And I recently talked to some people about this who are not homeowners. They've been renting for most of their life, but they've always felt ashamed that they didn't own a home, right? So they felt ashamed. And I think there's this societal, I don't know what you would call it, zeitgeist, where if you don't own a home, home ownership is the American dream. And so if you don't own a home, there's something wrong with you. And after I showed them this, and this was like a few months ago, they really just, it really killed their desire to buy a home. Why? Because society presents you with option A, or this presentation A, about how if you buy a home, it's a monthly payment of $1,800 at 6%. And if, as long as they can afford the monthly payment, you're good, right? But what I do is I make sure that they understand, because I want them to be educated, since I'm trying to get them into real estate investing, is they understand that this 30-year mortgage at a 6% interest rate for a $300,000 house is going to be more than 100% interest after 30 years. And so these two people that I talked to did not know that, right? And then one of the things I tell them, like, yeah, you know, you pay for 30 years. How many houses are you paying for? You're paying for at least two houses, right? So you're paying for this house for you, and then the second house for the bank. And then it really stripped their desire to take away or to buy a home. And then I talked about velocity banking with them, but this is the most I don't know what's the right word, but this was such a revelation to me when I first learned about this, when I first learned about real estate. It's like, wow, presentation matters. And you can convince the majority of people to want things that are against their best interest. So when you're in presentation, and again, another thing that I'm going to emphasize is that think about it from the bank's point of view. So let's say we have a 30-year mortgage and it's $1,800. Would you ever present scenario B to the consumer? Probably not. That's for you to figure out that, hey, you're going to pay, that you're going to be excited that the person who's getting the loan is going to pay more than 100% interest. But you get to say it's 6%. And it's just like, wow, like I totally did not. I mean, I thought just because I'm part of the same society that you're all a part of, I understood this, and I had the same um hangups and insecurities, that because I didn't own a home at a certain age, that there was something wrong with me. You know, I'm missing out on the American dream. And then once I figured out what the bank's perspective is, that this is so situation A is how they present the situation to you, the client, and then the situation B is how they present it to themselves about how they're going to win. And one of the things I said is, hey, if they actually presented this type of marketing in their marketing message, that hey, you're going to actually pay more than 100% interest, almost nobody would get a 30-year mortgage. Almost nobody, right? Very few people. I mean, there's some people who understand how much the actual interest is, but the default message to your average consumer, home buyer, is the interest rate, the slower interest rate, and the monthly payment. And that's why you can learn so much just from this one thing about how presentation matters. What you present is matters. The product itself doesn't really matter. I mean, who wants to pay more than 100% on a loan? But people will do it if you present it in the right way, right? So I hope that makes sense. All right. So why do I talk about this? Is because if you're an entrepreneur, you really have to understand the concept of presentation. You can take two people, right? And I heard this like in an anecdote regarding car sales, like where somebody comes in to a car dealership and you have maybe three of the salesmen go in, and they'll talk to the prospect who entered the dealership, and the prospect say, oh, I'm just looking. But if you have a master car salesman, maybe like the fourth or fifth car salesman, approach them, they're going to go ahead and buy a car, right? So even you're with an amateur, if you're with an amateur car salesman, the prospect who says that I'm just looking is not going to buy a car, and then they'll just take it as is. Whereas with you're a master salesman, and you know how to do a presentation that will want to have the prospect buy, even though the prospect said I'm never going to buy, they're going to buy a car, right? Same thing. Presentation matters. Okay, all right. So yeah, this is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. Before we end the video, I'm always gonna do a plug for the group. So go ahead and click the Google form link below if you're interested in joining a group, or you could email us by clicking the About tab in our YouTube channel and sending us an email and finding our email address there. Okay, have a great day, and we will speak next time.